Bonjour! I hope you had an amazing summer, un super bel été. I am back in Paris as of this morning because I was in the US for the first time in the Midwest pour un mariage, for a wedding, and I saw so many different culture shocks that are different from Paris, different from France, but most of all, I went to a really fun event that was the State Fair that I didn't know what it was. So today, let's experience it together. Allons-y!
Wow.
And just keep in mind that I'm French and I grew up in Asia and that maintenant je vis à Paris. I live in Paris. So a lot of the things I'm really not an expert on, especially concerning America or concerning places that I've never been to before. So really take this as someone that is not a professional in these things and that's trying these things for the first time as a French. The first one is
Pickle dog. So it's literally a pickle on a stick. What's the verdict?
Very good.
Yeah? They're huge, the pickles.
We like them huge.
So how long have you sold like pickles for?
38 years we've been here. Sold out here 38 years.
38 years.
At the State Fair.
Wow. What's your favorite way to eat pickles?
Well, just take them like this.
Let's try. C'est énorme, it's huge. But it's good. Wow.
It's only in America, c'est seulement aux États-Unis. It was actually kind of good because j'aime bien le cornichon. I like this type of pickle, so c'était pas si mauvais. The corn dog. I had never tried a corn dog in my life, although I'd seen them in American movies. You know, in Paris, we usually have like baguette sandwiches, which is kind of the go-to for lunch. La baguette, the ham, the cheese, and perhaps some veggies, and we have it on the go.
How would you describe it?
It's a sausage wrapped in fried dough.
Okay.
I think.
With cheese? No.
Sometimes with cheese,
Okay.
sometimes without.
I feel like they have a lot in Korea too, right? Because every time I go to Korean restaurants, there's corn dogs.
Yeah, it got really popular there.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I feel like it's missing something though.
It's probably like cheese.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's good.
For me, I thought it was like a sausage that was wrapped in a cake. Let me know if you often eat corn dogs in America or not. There was one that I actually liked a little better. It's called Pronto Pups. So I had never heard of this term before, but it's basically like a corn dog, but in a softer and sweeter version. Que j'ai préféré, which is the one that I actually preferred. And then we wanted to do a pause from all the fried foods. Here's my friend and her family. And we tried actually the ceviche nachos. So, you know, I personally really like ceviche when I go to restaurants, except I never had it with chips. So I feel like ça reste très frais. It's very refreshing, and especially pour l'été, c'était parfait. This was, I think, one of the healthiest options that we had while we were at the State Fair.
Yeah, we're 5-day-old.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 days.
So for someone that doesn't know what the State Fair is, how would you describe it?
That's a really good question. One comparison that I hear a lot from people who visit is that it's kind of like Disney World, except it's like a local version of Disney World where you have like
Local version of Disney.
you have like rides and sites. I think a little bit more emphasis on the food.
Yeah, a lot of food.
That's what I think of because you could spend a whole day here. The origins of the State Fair, it's a competition. So like it all started with people like farmers coming in from rural parts of Minnesota and like gathering together and showing off like their livestock and their crops. And now that's since expanded
That's how it
like-
was way back. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Now they do everything from baked goods to like artwork to
Competitions of the biggest pumpkin.
yeah. to biggest
Also,
pumpkin.
like cattle and animals being born. I'd never seen that.
Oh, yeah.
The live stream. Yeah, that was interesting. No, I think it's great, honestly. It's very different, très différent than what I think French people or Europeans are used to.
I think for a European traveling to the US and like going to the fair is just like you get all of American culture all at once in one place. It's just
That's
like
what I think. That's
super,
what.
you know, in your face, and it's like
Yes.
crash course on American culture.
Now, $20 for some cookies, $20 pour des cookies, but not any sort of cookies. This massive jug bucket of cookies. J'avais jamais vu ça. I had never seen that, and they told me it was really like a classic of the Minnesota State Fair, and it's called Marta's Cookies.
Okay. Be careful. Got it? Yeah, I got it. Thank you. So $20, $20. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try one too. It is actually very good. Outside it's crispy, croustillant, and inside it's very soft. Or is it maybe my cookie standards are not high enough? But this $20 is so crazy. Would you buy this for $20? Like 18 euros, 18 euros? Wow.
People actually go back every year to have that bucket. So what's crazy is I asked like approximately how many cookies, combien de cookies y a-t-il? How many cookies are there? And we told me about 48, about 48 cookies. C'est fou. And so as you can see, I could barely hold it. They were actually interesting to eat, but what was crazy for me was that I saw people buy the bucket for themselves and they would sit somewhere and then they would just like eat one in one bite. Honnêtement, I think after 5, I started to saturate from sugar. Et c'est vrai que ça a duré 3-4 jours. Like it lasted 3-4 days. We took it back home and we shared it with my friend's family and her friends. But honestly, tout seul, j'aurais jamais pu. I could have never finished it. Speaking of sweets, we tried this thing called
Malt custard. If I had to explain this, I'm actually not sure because I don't think it exists in France.
Yeah.
But I guess it's this thick, creamy desserts que they have in America. I was about to use the straw, la paille, but he told me c'est mieux d'utiliser une cuillère. It's better to use a spoon. Wow, it's very thick, c'est super épais. This could be easily shared between a few people, 2 or 3 people. C'est hyper épais, it's super thick.
For me, custard in my mind, c'était de la crème. It was cream, like very thick cream that you have perhaps on a dessert. But this custard was actually frozen. C'était glacé. It was the mix of a soft serve, but much thicker, plus épais et plus sucré. I personally had a hard time to finish the like small cup. I would have said that a perfect amount would have been half of it, la moitié. But I don't know, I couldn't really tell like the big differences between like a thick ice cream and that. And what about you? Do you use vanilla iced custard for different things? There is something that my friend and her family absolutely adored. It was the bacon on a stick.
Wow. Et maintenant, and now we're gonna try du bacon, which I feel like is a very American thing, un truc super américain. So this one is just a bacon on a stick. That's why it's called big fat bacon on a stick. On va goûter ça. That is so oily. Très huileux, but also very crunchy. Très croustillant. I think I prefer it less oily with some eggs and some ham. Eating alone, c'est trop huileux, too fatty.
Personally, I liked it, but it was just so oily and so fatty. I would have been able to have like 2 bites, but not like the whole stick. But I do understand why people like it because I think they season it with like quelque chose de sucré, with something sweet. Mais après ça, after that, no bacon for a while. Mon coup de cœur, the things that I absolutely loved, is something that people actually queue 45 minutes for. 45 minutes. C'est pour des donuts. So they're not any type of donuts. Apparently, like they go from state to state. Mais les donuts, c'est vrai qu'ils étaient excellents. They were really, really delicious.
What makes a good donut a good donut?
Ooh. You can have many different preferences on what makes a good donut. They are fluffy and they have a slight crisp on the outside due to that frosting coating, but they have this nice doughy, yeasty consistency.
No, I can't wait to taste it. All right, on va goûter ça. We're gonna try this. Les donuts n'ont pas la même tête. They look a little different than the ones that we have because all we have is Krispy Kreme that just arrived last year to Paris.
This is a league of its own, much different.
This is much different.
As I'm talking with frosting all over my mouth.
So yeah, the frosting, what were the criteria? Texture?
A slight sugary crunch from the icing coating, and then when you bite into it, it has a nice soft give. You get that yeastiness from the dough and chewy, like little pillows.
Wow, like little pillows comme des food. Okay. Rien à voir avec Krispy Kreme. So much better. Nothing related to Krispy Kreme. So much better. He's right. On dirait des petits coussins. It feels like little pillows. And it's not too sweet. I was scared it would be like dipped in sugar. Mais ça va. It's very good. So, was it worth 45 minutes? I'm not sure. But it's definitely a league on its own and so much better than the donuts that I tried.
They were like sweet, fluffy, organic. Personally, I could only eat one, and I'm not sure if I would queue an hour for it. Never had donuts like that before. Most of the donuts that I had in Asia or in France are really, your classic Krispy Kreme, which I like too, but I feel like it's much more dense, less fluffy, and less crunchy on the outside. So see, if I had to re-eat something from that day, it would probably be that donut. There were two things that I didn't get to try. One of them was the deep fried Oreos. Déjà, je trouve ça fou. I find it crazy that you can deep fry sweets. I saw a few stands, like there was deep fried cookie dough on a stick, there were deep fried cookies, there were deep fried ice cream, which I've tried before, but deep fried Oreos, I wasn't sure how to feel about it, especially when I was watching them make it. And the second thing that I didn't get to try, and that's because il y avait une longue queue, there was a very long queue, c'est le pickle pizza. So as someone who recently discovered I love pickles in America, I think it would have been interesting to try the pickled pizza, which is a cream base with pickles. So peut-être pour une prochaine fois, maybe for a next time. But all in all, c'était intéressant comme expérience. It was interesting, but I think now I'm good enough for snacks and street food and fried foods for a while. And the fair isn't just about food, but as it's about animals, I saw something that I had never seen in my whole life, que je n'avais jamais vu. It was an alpaca costume competition. So I think I'd never sat in those kind of stadium areas, and the competition, c'était une compétition des costumes des alpacas, was super creative actually. You had different people accompanied by their alpacas and that had different costumes. Ils avaient tous des costumes différents, and they always had to explain their inspiration. Like I remember one of them was inspired from le cinéma. The person was dressed as a bottle of soda and her alpaca was dressed as a popcorn, comme un popcorn. Another alpaca was inspired from the movie How to Train Your Dragon, so the alpaca was dressed as a dragon. But what really surprised me was how full the stadium was and how everyone was super fascinated and super energetic about this competition. I'm not sure it would work the same way in France, but c'était très intéressant. J'avais jamais vu ça. I had never seen that, and everyone was cheering for them, and also you could see the alpacas going back and forth. It's very creative. C'est très créatif. I'm not sure all the alpacas loved being dressed that way, but it definitely entertained a lot of people there, and it was crazy to see this ambiance of people kind of like they were at a sports game and cheering on a team, but instead of people, c'était des alpacas. The last thing that was interesting to experience was the caravans, is that I feel like we could go caravan shopping. It reminded me that someday I hope to be able to road trip like this, you know, in Europe or in France. But we could see these massive caravans that had even couches, beds, et c'était très luxueux. It was very, very luxurious. And it was great that they were just open for everyone to experience and for everyone to check out. J'avais jamais vu ça. I'd never seen that you could just walk into different types of caravans and then you could, you know, feel at home. Donc ça, c'était très chouette. That was very cool. And we ended the day, on a terminé la journée floating above the state fair in these seats. And so on pouvait tout parcourir. You could see everything. It was a great way to end such an interesting day at an American state fair. The past few days living in the Midwest definitely made me have a shift of perspectives because I'd never been there before, so j'ai beaucoup appris. If you would like me to make a video about comparisons, about how I felt living in Minnesota versus how I feel living in Paris, I can make a video about that, but that's only if a lot of you are interested in it, because primarily, I love sharing my Paris life and Paris neighborhoods with hidden gems. So if you don't want to miss the next video, go ahead and subscribe because I'm here every single week and there are super cool videos coming up, especially for this autumn. J'ai trop hâte. I'm so excited. We will be here next week. On sera là la semaine prochaine. Hâte de vous voir. Happy to see you. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt!